Welcome to Everything Weapons with David Cooper and Dalen Savage on 1510 WLAC. From buying a gun, ammo, and gun safety, David and Dalen can point you in the right direction by calling 615-737-WLAC or 1-800-688-WLAC. Now, here they are, the experts behind Everything Weapons. Everything Weapons. David Cooper and Dalen Savage.
Good morning, Tennessee. I cannot tell you how excited I am about today's show. We have some unbelievable guests today. We didn't really talk about this last week because we almost kind of sort of wanted it to be a surprise.
Yeah, we have to tease it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think we really didn't know who the guests were going to be this week, to tell the truth. So we got together and we figured out some wonderful, wonderful guests. So we have Claude Morris from Project Appleseed. And Claude's going to be able to talk about everything to do with that program and why it's important for the people of Tennessee to be involved. And then we also have a very, very special guest. We have Quails Forever. We have Don Purdy. And we're going to talk about everything to do with how to prepare your property, how if you are even just in retirement or you're a young guy with a lot of land, a couple acres or more, how to get that land ready, get rid of that fescue, and bring back the quail, the monarch butterfly, and these other animals, songbirds, that kind of stuff. So if you want to call and talk to these guys about Project Appleseed or Quails Forever, 615-737-WLAC or 615-737-9522. There's an 800 number if you want it. Just call and we'll give you the 800 number. No, I'm just kidding. That's 800-688-WLAC. So, you know, Claude, give us some ideas. What is Project Appleseed?
Project Appleseed started in 2006 as a kind of a concept to not only teach rifle safety and marksmanship, but also teach what happened at Lexington and Concord in 1775 and the founding values of our republic. I went to my first clinic in 2008. There were about maybe 100 instructors nationwide at the time. We have close to 1,000 instructors now. We have events in all 50 states, and they're basically two-day rifle clinics. We occasionally do a one-day mini clinic, but the basic clinic is a two-day clinic. We shoot at 25 meters on targets that simulate targets out to 400 meters, and we'll fire over the course of a weekend anywhere from 350 to 400, maybe even 500 rounds. Most people use 22s. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We're also associated with the Civilian Marksmanship Program. And typically our attendees are about a third young people, that's 18 and under, and about a third women, and about a third adult men. I was one of those adult men that had been shooting 1,000-yard rifle matches, thought I knew everything, went to an Appleseed clinic and realized I had a lot of bad habits to unlearn, and got hooked on the clinic. 6 weeks after I went to my first one in Puryear, we did our first one at Arnold Air Force Base, where I'm president of the Bay Shooting Club, and we're about to do our 51st clinic here over Memorial Day weekend, and that clinic has been sold out for a couple of weeks. I have 8 people on the waiting list for it. We do clinics in Sevierville, in Tennessee, and Puryear, and there's still some room in the next Sevierville clinic. Puryear later this month is also sold out. We also do them in our first one in Jackson next weekend, and we do some south of Memphis. We occasionally do some on the National Guard range in Smyrna. We do several in Pelham, Tennessee.
Well, you know what I'd like to do with you is why don't we get Appleseed to, have a link on the Everything Weapons website, and that way people that hear about this or, maybe you guys have some brochures you can have in the store, and that way we can talk about it with our customers and try and get our customers to become members of your organization.
Be very glad to do that. The website, by the way, for listeners is pretty simple. It's www.appleseedinfo, all run together, .org. And we will do probably about 25 to 30 clinics in Tennessee this year. There's also several in surrounding states, a lot of them in Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama.
So if you're a Tennessee member, you can still go to something in Kentucky?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a nationwide program, and Uh, One of the primary reasons we do the program, I alluded to a little bit, is we teach the history and the founding values of the Republic that happened in Lexington and Concord. I have one minister bring his entire church. Boy Scout troops, whole troops come, Trail Life troops. We have homeschool groups that will come, whole homeschool families. It's a very family-oriented program, very safety conscious. But what you're getting in a weekend at an Appleseed, and youth 18 and under, it's $20 for the weekend. For adults, it's $60. There may be a range fee depending upon the rifle range we use if they charge a fee for us to be there. On top of that, but usually that's minimal. But what you get is the kind of training you'd pay several $100s to get somewhere else.
So how do you get the youth involved? Because today I want to spend a lot of time talking about youth shooting, how to get that next generation involved to keep shooting a popular sport, but also not lose our Second Amendment rights. If we don't do it anymore and we don't care about it anymore, we're not going to have it anymore. So what do you do to get that next generation involved specifically?
Well, what we do is go out. We were at the NRA convention with a booth. We talked to a lot of people up there. For example, at an Appleseed clinic, we use safety chamber flags, and every rifle's cleared before anybody goes downrange to change targets. The reason I mentioned chamber flags is we brought 5,000 chamber flags. We figured, okay, that'll probably cover the convention. We gave those away in the first 3 hours. We had a lot of interest. A lot of families come up. I had a couple of Navy SEALs come up and said the program is awesome. They brought their families to them. What we try and do is we reach out to scout troops, to homeschool families and stuff to try and get to the youth. Like I said, a third of our attendees are folks under 18. We've had people who've never touched a rifle in their life, and this is rifle training. They've never touched a rifle in their life who end up leaving at the end of the weekend shooting groups that are 4 minutes of angle, which is 25 meters. That's about an inch size group. So if people come and pay attention, they're going to learn sight picture, sight alignment, trigger pull, breath control, natural point of aim, which we teach in the first 3 or 4 hours. And sometimes you go to advanced rifle courses and they don't even teach that.
I mean, I'd be happy. We have a shooting range. It's only 15 yards. But I know, like, my daughter trains with one of our trainers almost every Sunday. And she just loves going out there with the .22 handgun and using it. She'll either use, like, a Walther P22 or, a Ruger Mark III, something like that, an SR22. But we could have a program at the shooting range, on a weeknight where we start at 5 or 6 and, however long you guys go to, say, 9 o'clock at night. And, we'll do a special where, we give discounts on ammo. We'll give a discount on, the firearm if we can, and then give every family, a month free shooting. We could kind of put together some sort of package that would really help your organization get that word out and get the training, and help us as well by, having people find out about our range and enjoy that shooting experience. Because not everybody can take an entire weekend, but I'm sure we could figure out a way to develop something for an evening.
Sure, love to work with you on that. We do one-day clinic.
We're coming up on a commercial break here, Claude. I'm really sorry about that, but when you get back, let's finish on that clinic idea, and then we're going to get in and we're going to talk about what's going on with Don Purdy and his organization. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Everything Weapons Hour. And I wanted to sit there and Claude, you were just about to make a statement when we went into our commercial. So let's finish that thought up before we get into our pheasant conversation.
Okay. I'd be delighted to work with you in setting up some sort of a program, or maybe even 2 or 3 of them. It'll be kind of an introduction to Appleseed. And also a couple of quick things. Appleseed is a as I mentioned, a CMP, Civilian Marksmanship Program affiliate club, so that we, if you attend a clinic and successfully complete it, you can get a certificate to purchase an M1 Garand from the Civilian Marksmanship Program.
That's fantastic.
The other thing we've done is we have trained the whole deploying National Guard units and vastly improved their rifle scores. We do that at the service. Military members and police shoot for free, as does anyone that shows up in a Revolutionary War uniform.
There you go.
But we love to get the young people involved, and I even have several instructors who are teenagers. At age 13, they can become an instructor in training. Our instructors, just to put things in perspective, have 120 hours of training to become a full instructor in the Appleseed program. They're all volunteers. None of us are paid. And very dedicated. We'll also go out and do pitches to Lions Club, Kiwanis, any civic club or scout troop about the program, and also just give the history portion of it, about an hour and a half presentation to groups that want that. I'm doing that for a couple of libraries here in the next few weeks.
Well, we have a shooting range with a classroom that holds about 30 people. So anytime you want to use that shooting range classroom, you just let us know and we'll work it out. We do some gun carry permit classes there and LAOSA classes there. So we do have to work out the scheduling, but we'd love to have you guys using that range classroom. And whatever it is that you guys need, we'll do our best to help you out. So let's get in, and Claude, don't go anywhere yet, but let's get in and talk to Don about Don's organization. So Don, tell us right off the bat, who are you, what's the organization, and kind of why to be involved and what you guys do for youth.
Yeah, thank you, David. It's great to be here today. And I'd like to tell everyone, just a little bit about our organization. Our organization here locally is called Music City Quail Forever. To give you a quick introduction to Quail Forever, it's a fairly young organization. It was established in August 2005, home office out of St. Paul, Minnesota. It's in conjunction with, which originally started, Pheasants Forever. And it just was a great blend to blend pheasants and quail together. In the north, in the Dakotas, and up in that area, they are really blessed with a lot of pheasants, the game bird there, and some chukars. It's really hard to establish quail in that area because of the brutal conditions that they have up there in the.
Yeah, I don't like those winters either.
I've been up there pheasant hunting. Let me tell you, it's brutal when that wind gets you. But so anyway, basically it started up there. It really took off with all the states. We probably have organizations between 30 and 35 states now.
That's fantastic.
We have 16 regional directors all over the country. And basically those regional directors, they may have 4 or 5 states in that. In Tennessee, we have 5 different chapters locally in that. But, we work closely with TWRA. As most folks know now, the older generation, they remember the days that when you could walk out and you might see 2 or 3 different groups of quail. And you just don't see that anymore. You might see a couple run across the road, and so we've really lost
too much fescue.
Yeah, fescue has been a something that has really, I think, hurt the quail. But in the farmer's eye and view and haying, they get so many cuts out of that. I can understand why they go to that.
I think that there's a lot of people that, come from places like where I did, California or the Midwest or other parts in the South, and they buy a 5-acre piece of land and they've got the fescue there, but they don't kill it off and get rid of it to help bring back those birds. So, I know that TWRA has a program. I don't know how many acres you have to have for them to come out and do an evaluation and talk about land management for you, but I know they do have that program. And so what I would say is if you're not using your 5 acres plus for hay and you're not using it for cattle and you're not using it for horses, let's get that fescue out of there. Let's kill it off and let's bring back the natural what would grow in its place?
Well, and you're exactly right. I mean, an acre, 5 acres, that can be developed into an area where that will bring back some habitat. What I think a lot of people are interested in, they like to look out and see these beautiful wildflowers. Well, they're just not going to be there unless you kill that fescue. You can do it with a herbicide. You go in, you can burn it out. There are a lot of natural forbs that are underneath the ground, and all they need is to be disturbed.
So we basically have to get rid of the fescue, and it'll just come back on its own.
It can, but here in this area, some areas you can plant the tall warm season grasses. You can plant the short warm season grasses, and basically that gives the quail a brooding or an area that they can actually raise their young. They can't raise them in fescue; it's just too thick. And so they need an area that has some open ground under it, and that's what the beauty of the warm season grasses will do. Now, you can also, in those small areas, it's important, I think, to put out the wildflowers. People love to see the monarch butterfly, and this is just a good example of how when you go out, when I was a kid, I can remember just seeing monarch butterflies everywhere, and we have lost that habitat. That's the milkweed is very vital to that because that's what the caterpillars, when they're in the caterpillar stage, eat, and then they attach onto that, and that's why you'll see them around that, but you don't see them. So there are different flowers, there are different things. The bees, everything benefits from that type of habitat. Borders are very important.
I know the last house that I just sold, when I think it was our first year there, all of a sudden one day, hundreds and hundreds of these small blue butterflies. And we wound up being, I guess, an area where they would hatch. And I can't tell you, every single season, the amount of these small blue butterflies, just hundreds of them everywhere. And it was amazing. My kids were just astounded, and they would just sit out there and play with these butterflies, having them land all over their arms and everything. And it was just crazy.
Yeah, well, that life cycle, more than likely you had something there that the cocoons, actually they developed and they hatched out. And that's why you see so many, because they're usually around that food source. But, quail habitat benefits a lot of everything. The quail itself basically has to have 3 things. They have to have an area that they can go and raise their young. They have to have an area where they can feed. So there's got to be some sort of a food source around. Now, they eat a lot of seeds, a lot of different seeds. If you're out and the guys that really hunt the wild birds, and I will say this, some folks say, well, you go out and you shoot and you hunt them. That's not our plan. Our plan is to bring the quail back, bring them back so that our young people can enjoy seeing the quail. Our young people can get behind a dog and go out and really see what the dog work is like and enjoy that experience. So you need those 3, and those are vital. They also have to have an area that they can escape to. That's why when, I'll go to some farms and you'll find quail. Well, when they get up, if you don't shoot a bird at that point, you're probably not going to get him, because they'll go to the thickest cover they can find where even a coyote can't get in and get them.
Right. So one of the things I think would be great is kind of like how we were talking to Claude about Project Appleseed, is I think we need to be able to show people, what it is to have a dog work and the excitement behind having a well-trained dog. Maybe we get you guys to come out and we can block off our parking lot, place some birds in cages in different parts of the parking lot and hide them, and have the dogs find them, and show people, you can really train these dogs, and, what the cost is and what kind of dog you need, what kind of guns you're going to need for this. Tell me about what you guys do for youth. Do you have a youth shooting program?
Yeah, the youth, I think, is one of that's the number one priority on our agenda, simply because we want the youth to be able to experience the joy of being able to go out and be behind a dog and be able to shoot a bird. We have basically 2 programs that we support. Hunter safety. We work with TWRA. We work with organizations trying to provide those students an opportunity. So we actually will support that and pay those expenses for a hunter safety course for our youth. We think that that's really how we're going to save them. We've got to educate our youth. The second thing we do and getting actively involved in is many of our scholastic skeets organizations, and we'll be sponsoring one of the high schools. We want to be involved in that. We want the kids to learn how to safely handle a shotgun and be able to. I mean, there's nothing better than the joy of being able to shoot something that flies. I mean, it's just a fun thing to do, whether it's clay targets or whether you actually go out and put that experience. The other thing we do is in organization, we have youth quail hunts. We had this past year. We went out. We had about 20 kids. All of them had been through the hunter safety course. They have to go through that, and that we sent them out with a dog handler. We sent them out with a mentor that would be with them and help them show the safety of the gun, and put several of the pen-raised birds out and give them that opportunity to hunt. And it's an amazing thing. These kids just had a great time, and then we feed them.
Now, what is the food? That's the most important part. That's where I'm going to be there for. So I've got a daughter and a son. My son is 6. He's just, I think, needs another year or so. My daughter is very involved in wanting to shoot and learning with her .22 handguns, and she's getting ready to pick up, like a 10-22 or the Smith & Wesson M&P 22. What I'd like to know is, can my 8-year-old shoot, or is there an 11-year-old, or how old does she have to be to get involved in the program?
Well, basically, to be involved in our program and to do these activities, they need to have their hunter safety course. And usually they're about 10 years old when they get that. Up to that point, I mean, they can hunt. In the state of Tennessee, they can hunt with a parent, with someone that has a valid license. But once they reach that age of 10, then that's when they go. And so anybody over 10 with a hunter safety can be involved in that program.
Okay, so I could take my daughter out with a 410 or a 20 gauge with a real light load in it to reduce that recoil, and we could go out and be involved in one of your programs, and she could get her first bird.
Oh, yeah. We have, every year we try to do some fun hunts. We have some fun hunts, and we encourage parents to bring their son or their daughter to come out and see the dog work. We'll put them behind the dog, and we'll let them shoot. If they can shoot, we'll let them join in and get involved in it.
Well, what I'd like to do is put out something where anybody who's involved in your organization, we can give, 10% off ammunition. We can give you guys, again, that room to use, that classroom, give you guys an opportunity to work with our customers and try and get that going. So when we get back, we're going to talk more with Claude and Don about their organizations and how you guys can get involved. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the Everything Weapons Hour with David Cooper and Dalen Savage. If you guys want to call in and talk to either Claude or Don, 615-737-WLAC. The news break that we just had talked about a couple things, and I wasn't going to really get into this today, but I listen to Mark Levin a lot. I listen to Rush. You know, I don't like what's happening with our country. I think this next election is going to be beyond the tipping point. If we lose this election, conservatives, we're in real trouble. I think what's happening out there is Obama's trying to nationalize our police forces, and there's only one reason he would want to control all the police forces, and that's for bad, because he doesn't want any dissent when he goes to that next step. We have to be careful, we have to be vigilant, and you have to be prepared. I think you guys need to have your food, you need to have your ammunition, you need to have your firearms, and you need to train. But I also think you need to vote, and you need to be organized with your friends, your family, and your neighborhoods. We have to understand how to win this election, and it's all going to be the ground game. I think we have to be out there talking to our neighbors in our subdivisions, talking to the people that we associate with, and making sure that the right information is getting out there. And we need people that are willing to go out into other neighborhoods and talk at churches and talk at community centers and be able to help get people to understand what conservatism is all about, and that it's not what the government is telling you it's about, and that conservatives aren't bad and that liberals are good. I think we have a wonderful, wonderful argument that we can provide small government and self-reliance, and getting that out there, I think, is just vital. So, you know, I'm happy to talk about this every week on the radio about how to kind of get these projects rolling and be able to help what we're doing. So if you guys have questions, call in and ask. Dalen, let's get back to some stuff with Claude.
Yeah, Claude, one thing I wanted to cover with you, talking about the clinics and everything. You know, you stated these clinics are open for anybody that shoots and stuff. Tell us a little bit about what you guys refer to as adaptive Appleseed.
We have people that have physical disabilities. I've had people come to clinics and shoot out of wheelchairs. I've had people who, because of made various surgeries and stuff, can't get up and down, because we shoot the bulk of our shooting the first day is in prone, but we also shoot sitting or kneeling and standing. I've had some shooters that can't get into prone, so they'll shoot the whole weekend in sitting. We have others that, because of injuries and so forth, have to do it out of a wheelchair or seated at a table, and we work with that. As a matter of fact, we've been approached about doing some special Appleseeds here this summer for wounded warriors, and we will make if you will, changes to the program to fit so they have a chance to be part of the program. I had one gentleman that he just had an illness where he couldn't hold the rifle steady. So because he had an illness like that, we put him on a sandbag, and he had a great weekend, did well. So we work with the shooters. You mentioned ages. I've had them as young as 8. That's a little young. I usually have to pretty much dedicate an instructor with a person like that. But typically, someone that young, we'll put on a sandbag, have an instructor watch them very closely, and work with them. Probably 11, 12, 13 is the age, because it's a pretty intense weekend with a lot of information doled out. But again, we work with folks. So if someone has an issue where they have problems getting up and down, they're in a wheelchair, use a cane, and maybe you can only shoot from a sitting position or need to shoot off a chair, we'll adapt for legitimate issues like that. To let them.
That sounds like me with all my surgeries, walking with a cane.
They'll adapt for you, David. Claude, I think that's great. You know, you have a lot of guys that probably, guys, ladies, kids that probably wouldn't participate in something like this because they don't think they could. And, I think it's a great deal that you guys actually give them an opportunity and adapt the course of fire to them.
We do that, and we're glad to do that for folks. We want everyone to come out. And, in mentioning just a minute ago, our really primary reason for doing these clinics, and the training is outstanding, but the real reason we do it is to teach the values and the history of the founding of the Republic. And And the fact that these people back in the 1770s, early 1780s, put everything on the line. There was no health insurance. There were no hospitals. If you get shot, you probably were going to die from gangrene. If you became wounded or died, your family might not survive. These are harsh times back then, but our ancestors gave us the most exceptional nation on the planet, and they gave us a tool they didn't have, and that's the ballot box. So one of the reasons we do Appleseed is we feel America's kind of a sinking ship right now, and we're bailing hard. But one of the things we want to do is make sure our young people, and this is people into their 30s and 40s, fully understand, because they probably didn't get in school, the founding values and the reasons for our republic. George Washington said when he heard about what happened in Lexington and Concord, in that kind of funny speech they used back then, sad that it be that the sword be sheathed in a brother's breast, but it'd be better that America's fields be soaked with blood than we become a nation of serfs and slaves.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd be happy to have you guys come out, and if you could fill that classroom, be able to use that classroom as a history lesson and be able to talk to people about, anything that has to do with the founding of our country and our founding documents, whether it has to do with the Constitution or Federalist Papers or what have you, but get people to really understand the basis of what our country is. And there isn't always going to be somebody there as a backstop. And our country wasn't formed to have that government backstop. It was formed for us to do what we do on our own, whether it's becoming successful, whether it's having a great family, but not relying on the government and relying on each other.
Right. And, America was founded on the principle that our rights come from God, not from government. And I think that's one thing a lot of people have forgotten. Those certain inalienable rights that are guaranteed in the Bill of Rights, they're basically a list of things the government can't do.
See, I don't think our conservative side gets out enough into minority communities. My wife is from a third world country. She's a minority woman, and I know that in Los Angeles and here in Tennessee, there aren't organizations going and talking to her community. And so I think that one of the things that we do or we don't do and we should do is that we need to be in those communities selling our side, talking about our side and making sure they understand, because these people come to America for freedom and they come here for opportunity. And when they get here, the Democrats are all over them. And we don't get out there enough. And I think that's a major problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, at Appleseed, we talk about the politics, again, of 1775, but we relate it to things. And to put that in perspective, one of the things we encourage people to do at the end of the clinic is get involved in their community if they're not. Get involved in their neighborhood, in their churches, get involved politically. I'm a retired Air Force officer. I did a career with an aerospace company after that. And after I retired, I got involved in our community more, and I've run for public office. Lost by 10 votes in one election, but I got out there and stirred things up. And we need to be involved in our communities at all levels. We have the most exceptional country on the planet, and we need to keep that exceptionalism. And again, the one thing our forefathers, whether you can trace your ancestry back to somebody was here in 1775 or they came over in a boat 20 years ago, the founding fathers of our republic put everything they had on the line to give us this exceptional country. And we need to honor them and take it forward. Benjamin Franklin, after the Constitution was written, said, a lady asked him, the Declaration of Independence, he said, what kind of a country, what kind of a government have you given us? And he responded, a republic if you can keep it. So all the checks and balances were put into those great documents. It's still up to us as citizens to honor the founding fathers and what they've done for us.
Yeah, one of the things I always talk about is that, Democrats go to the streets and Republicans go to work. And so we don't win a lot of times because the population doesn't see us. They see the Democrats. And so even if it's a very small part of the population that is upset about something, that's all the country sees and that's all the news covers. And so we have to not necessarily get in the street, but we have to get to those other populations and tell our side of the story. Don, I know you guys do some things with the military, with you shooting programs. Tell me about what you guys do with retired or injured military.
Yeah, we feel, first of all, let me say we thank all the soldiers out there and those that have served our country. What a great country we have because of that, and we are most thankful for that.
They don't get enough respect from our
really
president.
Don't, and we have a lot, as you know, soldiers come back that need some rehabilitation. They just need some healing. And a lot of the programs that are offered, that a lot of the organizations offer, is a sort of a healing program. And for the past few years, we've been running a program. We call it the Hoorah Program out of Fort Campbell. This past year, we had 2 different events for them. We had a quail hunt. These were for soldiers that may not have lost a limb, but certainly they just needed a time to be out in the field. And so we had, I think, 10 soldiers come down, and we had the handlers with the dogs, and we took them out, fed them, and had a great time. Then we did a pheasant tower shoot for the soldiers, and we had, I think, 2 in wheelchairs, and the guys did a great job. I know I cleaned the birds, and I probably cleaned over 100 birds, but there were 120 pheasants that were released that day.
You're going to have to teach me how to clean these birds, everything from turkey on down.
I did them the slow way, but there is a very quick way that we learned in South Dakota.
Just breasting them, or
no? You just breast them, but you actually step on the wings and you just pull straight up, and it pulls the breast right out. So it's a
I
quick
think I'd
way.
want the whole bird.
Well,
I think there's a lot of extra meat there.
The legs are excellent when you eat them, by the way.
Yeah.
So
all right. When we get done, we got to hold that there when the music rolls. But when we get back, Don's going to finish talking about that, and we'll be back with you. Stay tuned. So as we were coming back from our break here, Don and Dalen and I, we were talking about cleaning these birds. Now,
it's making me hungry now.
Yeah, tell me about it, right? I'm from Los Angeles. I go to the market and buy my bird. That's the most I know, right? So my wife has been, if you shoot it, you clean it, because I am not plucking all those feathers off those damn birds. Tell me let's talk about bird cleaning in general. And, Claude, if you have some things to add in here, please participate. But I don't know the first thing about cleaning a bird, whether it's turkey, pheasant, dove, quail, or a mouse. I mean, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
so
we're not going to clean any mouse.
Mouse,
but I can tell you
educate me on this stuff.
The easiest bird certainly is the quail. It's just a matter of you can just break the skin on it and you peel it back and you want to pretty much save the whole bird on that, and then you can just you cut up the backbone, take it out, and then you sort of have a filleted breast out with the legs.
How many quail for an actual dinner for a guy like me?
Oh, you maybe 4.
Really?
Yeah. For me, it might be 8. I don't
really.
No, but 4 would be quite a bit. It gives you more than one, and most people will fry quail up. Some will try to put them on a smoker, and you can, but you don't smoke them long. You want to keep it. In fact, any meat you put on a smoker is pretty doggone good.
I mean, all I remember is when I was a kid, my mom used to make Cornish game hens.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up with the little birds.
Yeah.
And the ducks are a little different. Most people will just simply open them up, pull the skin back, and they'll cut the breast out.
So instead of doing the whole duck.
Yeah, they won't do the whole duck.
So I've spent a lot of time in China, and that's whole duck.
Yeah.
And they marinate the whole duck, and it's hanging on a hook. And
we don't do that. We just pretty much breast it out, and then you fry that up. The turkey, a lot of people like to save the whole turkey, and they'll smoke them. Smoking's good on turkey.
Or deep fry them and inject them with the juices.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the pheasant is, when we had this hoorah, I bet I cleaned over 100 pheasants, and I did it the hard way. You peel them back and you open them up.
I would have liked to have seen that.
But in South Dakota, we hunted with a young man up there and he said, "Oh, y'all doing it too hard." And he threw the bird down. He stepped on each wing and he pulled straight up, and you simply have the breast left. And a lot of people just like the breast, but we like to clean the whole bird.
I was going to say, I'd like the whole bird. I mean, I just want to eat. I don't want to waste anything.
Yeah.
I mean.
Then you just strictly skin it, take all the feathers off, and do it. What's interesting about that? We were in the discussion about some people, they don't like dove because it's a dark meat, but the dove and the duck, anything that flies great distance is going to have a breast. It's going to have a dark meat, and I can tell you that if you do it right, it's just as tasty as the white meat. Anything that runs, stays on the ground, quail, turkey, that type of bird is going to have a white breast on it, and most people like that.
It's funny that, I've spent a lot of time in Asia. I've spent almost probably a total of a year in China, 21 days at a time kind of thing, and then Thailand and Singapore. They're directly opposite of us. So they don't want the white meat. They want the dark meat. And when my wife, who's from Thailand, goes into a restaurant, first question is, if I get the chicken, is it white or dark meat? And when we go to an Asian restaurant and it's only white meat, she's like, we can't eat here again. This isn't for me, because it doesn't have that natural flavor of what they're used to. And when I was in China, I think it was my first night, they fed me snake. And that was really an interesting experience. And I can talk about that on another show. But eating water snake and seeing all the different cages with vipers and pythons and cobras, and it was unreal. And then the next night, it was birds inside the family home, and they just had a tablecloth out that was like a plastic tablecloth that you throw away, and they just put the bones on the table, and they chop it up with a big knife, like a butcher knife, and you just eat every single morsel, and you don't leave anything behind. And they gave me all the white meat. And they didn't want it at all. They said, they call it Quail, which is like an American or a white person, European. And, they just get the white meat and they get everything else.
I think we're a little different. We want the white meat, but I can tell you this, turkey leg is really good.
I like it.
Smoke it up.
You go to the fairs and the carnivals and they sell those turkey legs for like $1 million.
Renaissance fair is going on right now.
Yeah.
And you get the huge turkey legs there. So
yeah, they start selling just the turkey legs. You can buy them in a lot of places and everything. We were mentioning, I will mention this, that in Tennessee right now there's a 5-year strategic plan going on 4 of the WMAs, and they're designated as quail focus areas. So they are strictly, and they're focusing on them. We've had so much focus on deer and turkey. And, they're here.
So TWRA is working on this actively.
Yes, they are. And sometimes we don't give them enough credit, but they realize that this is a bird that we need to save. It ought to be the state bird, Tennessee, the quail. And so because of that, they have a 5-year plan in which they close those WMAs down a little earlier. They don't let people hunt on them. They've gone in and done the habitat. So they've done a lot of great things, and we're grateful for the work that they're doing. So we're having a great cooperation between them. The great thing about our organization is that we really are sort of just the fingers of a lot of other organizations. I think so many times we get involved and we say, well, our organization does this. We need to combine them. There are a lot of groups can help, just like Appleseed. I mean, we can join together. One, make people more aware of what's going on, increase the youth in a lot of different ways. And, we need to protect these agencies.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people that are involved in, say, your organization would love to go out and do a shoot with Appleseed and learn from them because it's a whole different kind of shoot.
Oh, no question. Claude, I want you to come and speak to our club sometime. Maybe we get together and do something together. But I think it'd be a great opportunity.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think, works politically as well, is that you get that one organization, but they don't spread and work within other organizations to get that word out and spread that idea. And so, the more of our political organizations we can get to work together instead of independently on their own idea, but there's people in other groups that may really want to learn and understand about what this other group has to say. Mm-hmm. I think the hunting, the politics, I think everything has to overlap with each other. And the biggest thing is communication, because I don't think enough of us talk to enough of us. And people come into our gun store all the time at Everything Weapons. I'm really worried about what's going on in America. What do I do? How do I prepare? And it's not always buying food storage or a firearm. It's getting involved politically in your community to help affect change, because that change is so vital right now. We are desperate for that way forward. When Ronald Reagan came in after Jimmy Carter, the desperation in America and the mistakes Jimmy Carter made with the Shah of Iran and having the mullahs out of prison in France, Jimmy Carter gave Iran to the extremists. Obama gave the rest of the Middle East and North Africa. I mean, it's unbelievable. The policy and the principle and the belief system that they have is so dangerous to the United States. The amount of terrorists that are probably coming over our border because it's unprotected is absolutely unreal. I mean, forget the people that want to work hard or that want to have a better life. What about the people that are coming over that want to destroy? Mm-hmm. And the Border Patrol has a name for them, OTM. And OTM stands for Other Than Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the amount of arrests in the OTM marketplace are unreal. And I just want to make sure that this country survives for hundreds of more years and that we get the right information out to our citizenry to let them make the right decision. You get CNN and MSNBC and all the newspapers. They give Obama a ride, free, no tough questions. But then you look at how they treated Reagan or how they treated Bush, and it's absolutely unbelievable. And the funny thing is when a Democrat does something wrong in office, the Democrat Party rallies around them and supports them.
Yeah.
When a Republican does something that they maybe shouldn't have done and make a mistake, whether they say the wrong thing or it's an honest kind of mistake, right? Not where they're being malicious and trying to hurt people. We throw them under the bus and we say, done. And we let the narrative be run by the left. We need to control the narrative. So I think it's really important that not only do we help our customers at Everything Weapons find the right firearm for them, that we help them with great customer service and try and create loyalty with our customer because they know when they come to our store, they get the truth. We're not trying to push them into something they're not going to be happy with. We have 100 gun rentals at our shooting range, so the customer can come out and shoot what they want before they buy it.
And that's the whole reason we did it. You don't buy a vehicle without test driving it first.
But how many people are unhappy with their firearm that they've bought?
I know I have been. That's why I'm really glad we have this program now.
I mean,
I can't get my money back on these firearms I've purchased and I don't like.
It's interesting you say that because, as you know, David, I just purchased a rifle from you guys, and I was so impressed with, one, the service, but the young man that helped me, who was a military man and broke that MP down for me, I thought, man, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple ex-military guys in there right now that are just fantastic. We've got Andrew, and, Andrew was out there, on the battlefield as a medic, helping guys. and he's come in and he's just a superstar. We invite everybody to come in and talk to Andrew. We've got John, that's a walking encyclopedia.
He is, yeah.
I mean, this guy knows so much.
I was bad.
I mean, it's unreal. Yeah, I mean, we got to have John on air one day and just let customers just call in and ask random questions,
I think
and we'll just sit here and not say anything.
Groups, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. John knows so much, and the idea is, let's just give information to our customer. Let's allow them to hold the firearm. Let's allow them the opportunity. When I first opened the store, I had some guys that worked for me from another store, and they said, don't talk to the customer. Don't be open on Sunday. And I said, how can I not give a high level of service, and how can I not be open on Sunday and allow my customer after church to come in and ask questions and do things? So, Claude, I really want to thank you for coming on air today and taking your Sunday, instead of being with your family, to come out here and talk to us. Please get information to us. We'll get a link set up so that everybody that goes to everythingweapons.com can also find Appleseed and what's going on with you guys. If there's updates, whatever it is we can do to help you guys, we will. Don, we want to get more involved with you guys on a regional basis, a national basis. Our show next week is Saturday night, 9 o'clock. And we'll be in 28 states. So everybody that's listening today, tell your friends all over the country to listen to the Everything Weapons Hour. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.